Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 70 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And I am Brian, and we have a big, crazy episode here.
Yeah, this is crazy because Brian and I were kind of out last week on travel and various things, so we couldn't get a proper recording in. That's why we had the 2 bonus episodes in there. But it feels like we haven't recorded in forever, Brian.
Really? It truly does. I mean, it's been a week, though, technically, right? Or I guess we recorded early, so it's been almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it seems kind of weird
That's
sitting
right.
back down on the microphone. But, man, we're going to make up for it, it looks like.
Yeah, this is what we like to call in Civil Gore world a Cody episode, because it's going to be long.
We're going to try to keep it a little short because we're actually recording later this week than we usually do. So I'm going to have to struggle to edit it in time to get it out in time, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and to make things easier, we have we have like one of the longest first chops ever, and then even we have theatrical releases. So Tim couldn't even cut short the dismemberment, and just tell you, this is going against us in terms of trying to shorten this. But what we'll have to do is we'll try and speak to perfection, so Tim has little or no editing to do.
That's right. Or maybe I just won't edit at all, and this will be Civil Gore uncut.
Right, it'd be like our Raw episode. We did that one before with Raw, so maybe with Saw, since it's just a gut-wrenching, hardcore series of horror movies, maybe you'll just suffer along with us with mistakes and all.
All right, well, without further ado, let's get right into our first chop. So, Brian, as you know, I spent Thursday through Sunday in Indianapolis at GenCon. And for you folks that don't know what GenCon is, it is basically, I think it's the biggest U.S. board game convention. This is not video games. This is all board gaming. And I know some of you are thinking, well, what do you mean, like Monopoly and Sorry and stuff like that? No, these are like high-end board games, very deep strategy, war games, role-playing games. The industry has really taken off with the advent of Kickstarter, because you now have game designers who can publish a game without going through a major publisher. So the industry has just boomed in the last 10 years or so. So this convention draws somewhere in the neighborhood of 65,000 people. So it's about half the size of Comic-Con, if that tells you how big it is.
But it's like the Comic-Con of games.
It is. It really is. It is like the Comic-Con of games. You've got celebrities there in terms of like game designer celebrities. They're probably not celebrities to the man on the street, but to people that enjoy board games and buy board games. They're like gaming royalty. We had there's like a podcast I listen to called The Dice Tower that's very popular among board gamers, and we saw a live taping of that. And you're basically there to not only see vendors and see new games that are just being announced, you're also there to play games with other people. So you get all kinds of opportunities to go to events and demo games and test games, that kind of thing. So one of the cool things is, just like Comic-Con, they make a lot of their major announcements there. So for the first time, that's when they announce their new upcoming games and that kind of thing. So I went through the vendor hall and tried to find any kind of horror stuff I could find. And GenCon is not really horror themed per se. It's much more, you see a lot more fantasy sci-fi type stuff. But there are some horror vendors there, and there are some horror related games. So I thought I'd share some of those with you right now. So first up, just some of the vendors I wanted to give a shout out to. There was a couple of brothers, the Bielzik fidget spinner.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Is it the fidget spinner guy? The way you were going to say that.
The Bielzik brothers. They are owners of Aradani Studios, and they had some really cool pieces of artwork. They had one I really, really wanted a print of that I didn't get, but it was kind of a caricature of Stephen King with Pennywise behind him. That was really cool. They had like some caricatures of Edgar Allan Poe and that kind of stuff. So they had some really cool artwork. Check those guys out. The other one I saw that was pretty cool was called Cameo Creeps. And these were literally little tiny, you know what a cameo is. It's like a little portrait, like in a 2-inch frame. But these are all monsters. and there's like almost 40 of them, and it's monsters in Victorian clothing. So
interesting. So not like the children in Victorian
clothing.
No,
it's like, goat men and Cthulhu and, creature from the Black Lagoon, and it's so like funny.
Is it the goat sucker though? Is he in there?
They're really weird, but they're really cool looking. I got a pamphlet with all of them in it. The creator is Chris Seaman, the creator of Cameo Creeps, so whatever. But they're cool. Go check those out. I ran into Doug Hops. He was one of the guys I ran into out at Mad Monster Party last year. And actually,
are we going to have a beer pairing to him?
Yeah.
Doug Hops.
He's got a great beer name, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he creates some really cool original artwork. A lot of it features skulls and things, very horrific. And I actually went and talked to him for a little while and mentioned that I had seen him at Mad Monster Party and really liked his stuff. So really nice guy. And finally cool. On the list, I had Blackheart Enterprises. Man, this was my favorite booth probably at the show because they run a website called blackheartmodels.com. And if you go out there, you can look at all the really cool mini resin models they have. They had a 2.5-inch bust of Jason, Freddy, and Michael that I posted on the Facebook page. They had a really killer, and I really wanted it, but it was $40 for the base and the model. But it was a really cool resin sculpture of the creature from the Black Lagoon swimming.
Oh wow!
Nosferatu, Lovecraft, the Godzilla monsters. They had all these, and resin. I used to paint resin models, and they're very expensive.
I remember that you telling me. Yeah. That must have been like your. That must have drew you like those little creatures in Wreck-It Ralph that go to the light.
Yeah, but I used to paint them, and resin models are very expensive. Typically, these are reasonable. These are like $20 each, which is actually very reasonable price.
Oh yeah, that's not bad because those are sometimes like they start at like 50 for like the small ones. I remember.
Yeah, and resin is like, I mean, it doesn't melt. It's like painting a statue, and it's very sturdy. Unlike plaster, which can break and chip real easy, resin is really hard. So they're really good display pieces once you paint them. And of course, these came unpainted, so you do have to know how to paint them up to make them look good. But yeah, I really want these. I think at some point I'll just try to order at least the Jason, Freddy, and Michael just to have that trio on my shelf. Some of the other cool stuff we saw I posted a funny picture. They had a Call of Cthulhu Dr. Seuss book for kids, and I was looking through the used RPG book section, and I ran across something I never knew existed. It was from 1996. It was an actual Tales from the Crypt RPG. And this is
like Dungeons and Dragons,
like a pencil and paper Dungeons and Dragons type. I almost bought it just to have it.
Oh, you didn't buy it? That would have been cool.
At that point, I'd spent way too much money, so I had to put it back. But yeah, there was that actual Tales from the Crypt pencil and paper RPG.
Wow. Yeah, you have a lot coming up. We have a lot coming up with the Halloween Horror Nights merchandise. So yeah, it's a good call on cutting back on some of these. This seems like something you could probably find again on eBay or something. Yeah. Anyway.
And then finally I saw, the guy was laughing at me taking a picture of it, but I was taking a picture of the Reanimator board game that was there. This is really cool. I posted pictures on the Facebook page. I will try to get some more detail on actually how it plays, but I know when I saw it laid out, it actually has little cardboard buildings that you run around that are three-dimensional that you put together and run around and do things with. So I don't know how it plays. I don't know if it's any good, but it was really cool seeing a game based off Reanimator. Other than that, there was a new Aliens game that's going to be introduced that looks really neat. It has little miniatures of all the aliens and the xenomorphs and the soldiers, and it's a co-op game, so you're actually playing against the aliens. So your team of players is playing against the aliens. That looked really fun. And they announced a new Bloodborne game. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that is a PS4 title that was really really kind of spooky. It's sort of like a Dark Souls type game, and it's like a very hardcore RPG where it's really easy to die, and if you die you lose all your progress and that kind of stuff. But Bloodborne was way more horror oriented. It was more like a very dark horror fantasy. So it was cool to see this brought into a board game form. It's really early right now. It's probably not going to be out for a couple of years, but keep your eye out for that one. But man, GenCon, we had a blast. I've never been to a convention this big, and it made me want to go back to other conventions, not just GenCon, but other big major conventions because we just had so much fun.
I may have to join you at that one year because that looked really fun.
Oh yeah,
the pictures.
Gosh, you would have a blast, Brian. And it's very reasonable because, not reasonable. I mean, price wise, yes, it's expensive to as far as hotels and getting flights out there and that kind of thing. The convention itself is not very expensive, but in terms of just getting around Indianapolis, very easy city. For it to be a big city, we had no problems driving in and out of town and, getting.
That's what I heard.
Around. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a perfect place for a convention.
Yeah, I think that I want to say the first Star Wars, that big convention they have, the Star Wars Celebration may have been in Indianapolis, I want to say. I could be wrong about that, but I'm almost pretty sure that that's where it was the first year of it. Because I understand that they do great conventions in that area. That city just has a whole bunch of, it gets all... I mean, it's because like what you said, that's what I've heard. I said it's a really easy city to get around, so it lends itself to a perfect environment for a convention.
Yeah, and part of the convention, it takes up not only the convention center, but Lucas Oil Stadium, which is where the Colts play. And all the surrounding hotels also have convention rooms that are booked up. But because it's near the stadium, we got a parking pass, so we could park right across from the stadium, take a shuttle over every morning. They had shuttles running constantly. I mean, the infrastructure was just made to handle that amount of people. And we had a breeze of a time, just navigating the whole thing. I was really, really impressed with how smoothly it went.
Oh, cool. Now, you didn't mention, but I understand why. It's not truly a horror title, but the one thing I got excited about is funny. Cone had texted me that because, of course, even though Cone's not there, he's following these things. But you said you were there for the announcement when they announced that they're bringing the Dark Tower game back.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you might remember the old Dark Tower game from way back in the day that had the actual physical tower.
That was one of my favorite games ever, if not the favorite.
There's a company called Retrospective Games, I think, and what they do is they take old classic games, and they redo them for a modern game player. So, game design has advanced a lot over the years. And so they'll take like a kid game like Fireball Island. They recently did a remaster of Fireball Island.
That's them that's doing that. Yes. Oh, I didn't realize that's the same company because I've seen that in their Kickstarter on Facebook a lot.
Yeah, so they'll take a simplified game like that and they'll redo it and write new rules and put new components and that kind of thing for a more advanced player. And that's what they're doing with Dark Tower. It's going to be notably different from the original game. It is going to be co-op, so you'll be working with your fellow teammates to beat the tower, and they said that the tower will be back. Just not in the same form. They did not release a lot of information. I think the biggest, most exciting thing about it is that it is being co-designed by a guy named Isaac Childress. And if you don't play board games, you probably don't know who that is. But Isaac Childress created a game called Gloomhaven, which is the #1 game on Board Game Geek. It's a huge, huge RPG. He created it practically by himself, and he made millions off this thing. I mean, it is just a fantastic game. So he has the credibility to really put some great design decisions into this Return to Dark Tower title. So when I saw his name attached, I was super excited.
Yeah, I would assume the tower itself, when they probably, the electronics will not be using that same kind of... Because it had some, mechanical aspects to it, basically. Remember, it would turn and make all that noise, and basically it would spin and just light up things. But now, I guess, with the technology today, it could probably have animation possibly built into it, almost like a little... screen or something. I was always hoping that was a game that would come back, because everyone that had it, or everyone that knew about it, always loved it. I never heard a bad thing about it. I mean, and I think I still have that tower somewhere. It's probably at my parents' house somewhere. There's a whole box of old game pieces and stuff, and I could have sworn that thing is still in there. And over the years, it was funny. I lost pieces to the game but the tower remained. So I used to just sometimes like play around with the tower, and I just kept hitting it and tried to haggle with the bazaar people, at the bazaars until it would close. But yeah, so it was kind of fun though. That is a game I would buy in a heartbeat the second that thing comes back out.
Yeah, they didn't give a release date. I have the feeling it's going to be a while.
Yeah, didn't you say like almost 2 years?
Yeah, these
by the
games
time
typically they'll announce them within. Usually they'll announce them 2 years before they ever actually hit the market. And sometimes, a lot of these that go through Kickstarter are never really released to retail until maybe 3 years later. They're usually a year after the Kickstarter ends. So, yeah, that one's going to be a while, but I will keep an eye on it, and I'll keep giving you details on it as I hear more, because I keep in touch with all the board game podcasts and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So next up on the list was the Alphabet Project. We are already down to O. So this is getting down to the wire. O is for One Dark Night from 1982. I believe I saw this one on Shudder, and this was kind of interesting. It looked pretty cheesy. It looks like just a typical early 80s horror knockoff where this cliquey group of teenage girls tell this one girl that if she wants to be part of their club or part of their clique, she has to spend the night in this mausoleum, which is supposedly haunted because it is the resting place of a guy who had proven telekinetic powers. So, of course, she doesn't want to be seen as a wimp because she's always seen as being the nervous Nelly type. So she's going to prove them wrong, and she's going to spend the night in this mausoleum. And most of the movie is the build-up around this. And, of course, the mean girls are going to try to break back into the mausoleum and scare her with Halloween masks and that kind of thing. And, of course, as you might expect, the tables are turned. This one features an arcade montage, which I loved. That was awesome. But I'll tell you, Brian, this movie's almost worth sitting through for the end. It actually has a really good payoff. And I gotta watch this. Yeah, I was really surprised because I was like, I wasn't expecting much at all out of this, but the last 20 minutes or so are spectacular. So it turned my whole opinion of this movie around when I saw it.
And it's another Meg Tilly vehicle. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Tim's getting his Meg Tilly fill.
That was the other reason I watched it.
Summer.
Actually, I saw her name attached. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's worth checking out on Shudder. It's pretty good.
I think I might have to.
And now, because Civil Gore knows everything, we predict everything. Yes. It just happens. We speak it, and it comes into being.
Seriously, was this not only a few weeks ago we said, please let somebody just make this game? But yes, so if you've been following our social media, you've probably seen I've been sharing and tweeting a lot of this out. So apparently there is a Kickstarter. They already have a Patreon page, and they are posting so much content every day. But a Halloween video game is coming. I believe they are just waiting for the license now. And although they've said, no, we're not copying the Friday the 13th game, there are tons of similarities, basically. But, I mean, it's a slasher, so, I mean, there's going to be some similarities regardless. But it looks like as if you can play as Michael, play as a counselor.
Not a counselor, a teenager. Or a babysitter.
I'm sorry, a teenager, yes, as a teenager. See, look, I'm already starting the wrong rumors. Yeah. So, they did say you're gonna get all the different. If they get the license, you should get all the Michael Myers, Laurie Strode. They have the model of, but I think they can only show limited things because of obviously they don't have the license. But they're showing like samples of what the menu should look like. So, this just looks really, really cool. If you look at the link, some of the links we posted, I tweeted out the Patreon page link for them. So I think you can donate a little bit of money. You get some perks and stuff. I think maybe Civil Gore will have to go in on one, and just so we can maybe get our name in the credits to this game.
Yeah, that would be cool.
After all, I feel we're responsible somewhat.
That's right. We should get a free copy for giving them the idea, but whatever.
I know, right?
Also, we have Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone going into production later this year. I mean, can you believe it? We were talking about I think in one of our prediction episodes, we were talking about anthologies being a big thing.
Yep.
We got Twilight Zone. We got a Creep Show anthology coming back.
Yep.
I mean,
which we forgot to mention, right?
Yeah, which we forgot to mention. I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, we've got a lot of like fun stuff coming. I swear, God, it was like we couldn't have started this podcast at a better time.
No,
for horror things.
I've thought about that before. I'm like, are we just paying more attention to it because we're in the podcast? But I don't think so. I really feel like horror is just exploding right now.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what the reason is. I mean, I'm sure things like Get Out, speaking of Jordan Peele, is probably a big plus because it was such a big, mainstream horror film that so many people were acclaimed so highly, and that's a big thing. And with obviously the return of Halloween this year, another huge thing. It's getting a lot of people into horror, which is pretty exciting, I think, for all of us. And I guess speaking of more horror stuff, so as we mentioned, obviously the sad aspect of Toys R Us closing, we were concerned about, obviously, if we'd be able to find those NECA or NECA, however you want to pronounce it, horror figures that we used to be able to find at Toys R Us. Well, maybe about a month ago, I guess Cone had sent us some story on it, on how that Target's going to be able to start carrying it. And starting in August, they were dead on to their date. Like right in the beginning of August, they started carrying it. And NECA actually did everyone a favor by tweeting out a 20% coupon. So I went into my one of my local Targets yesterday and I was able to pick up Friday the 13th, the Jason ones from Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. I only had 6, so it's good. I did not have 5, which I really want to get. I need to grab that one because that one has that fake mask that was on the video box.
Yeah,
it was like the cheap hockey mask, which is kind of a really cool thing. So yeah, and they had that. They had a bunch of little stuffed like plush Freddy and Jasons, and they just really have a little cool little. The section was always there. Actually, if you go back, it's kind of usually in behind the media where they have all the bobbleheads. The
Funko Pops. Yeah.
Funko, thank you. Yeah, Funko Pops. And so, and sometimes they'd have like the little Stranger Things figures, so they were already kind of having the makings of it. But now with the NECA or NECA figures coming out, oh my God, I'm in heaven. I can't now. It's going to be dangerous for me to go through Target because but I'm telling you, with that 20% coupon, I think everything came to it was like $22 a pop for those, which is a discount, obviously, because sometimes those were upwards of. Sometimes you can get them cheap, I think, for like 25, but most of the time they were up to 30.
I'd never seen them in a store for less than 25.
Yeah, so this is a good deal. And basically you just best have to show the register the online coupon and comes right off. So $16.80 came off my bill right away. And if you, I don't know if you're, depending on the area you live in, our area, they charge for bags now. So if you bring your own bag, they give you a 50-cent credit. So I got an extra 50 cents off or something like that.
Ah, cool.
So, definitely check out your thing. I think it's limited the coupon though. I think the coupon's only until like next week at some point. So definitely look at the link we tweeted out and head to your Target store because I didn't really want to drop the money right now after our big trip we just had and then coming up. But I figured, what, I might as well get this now while the coupon's there, and who knows how many they'll get. It's like it could be something that they may get them, but it was always kind of limited at Toys R Us too. So Target's a lot bigger shopped store, so and now with the limited places these are sold,
they tend to get beat up pretty good too because I think people pick them up and look at them and stuff. So
yeah, I open mine because I'm setting up a little display piece. I saved the boxes too to go put back, but I do save these because I have no plans of selling these anytime soon. So normally I keep like all my Star Wars stuff is all in the box, but these I like to open and display because I like to pose them in cool figures, especially because like the Part 2 Jason comes with like a little fire thing where it's like a little I guess campfire, and it's got the mom's head, and it's so it's got a lot of cool little things to it. So it's like I hate to just keep it in the box. I want to like open it up and display it.
Nice. Next up on the rundown, Box. That was the short film starring Jimmy Dempster, who we interviewed way back. I don't remember the episode number right now, but great guy. He will be part of the inaugural Hollywood South Film Fest. This is a film festival for actors, filmmakers, run by actors and filmmakers. And Jimmy Dempster is up for a few awards, including Best Homegrown Hero and Best Indie Spirit. And both Brian and I really liked this short film. It was really cool.
Yeah,
and,
really
so
good.
we wish Jimmy all the best in that film festival. It looks that's really great.
And he's such a great guy. He's great to follow on Instagram, and he has a lot of cool little like behind the scenes pictures he'll post and stuff. And yeah, he's just great. The film was great. He's a great actor. So yeah, we're wishing best of luck. Hope he wins. He deserves it. I know he's won several awards at some of these festivals previously for this film specifically. So yeah, we were behind him 100%.
But you know what, Brian? You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have.
Yeah, I knew you were going to come up with something like that.
Oh, I'm so sad.
Yes, I know. And I know this doesn't, you're like, okay, what does she have to do with horror? But I felt obligated to put her on since I used her name shamelessly in a 6 Degrees of Decapitation.
Yes. See, even there, I'm almost wondering if you caused her death.
You know, usually we blame my friend Dom for all these celebrity deaths. Cone can attest to that, but yeah, this one I may have been the jinx of it. I tell you.
But she had a good long life. She was 92.
Oh, she did. Yeah, she did.
So I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine, an internet friend of mine, on one of the forums I visit regularly, said that he actually met Miss Ray many years ago. He was working at a movie theater, and he said she came in with an entire group of special needs people.
Really?
Yeah, and he said so
nice.
she bought all their food and got them all settled, got their tickets, and was basically chaperoning these special needs adults to this movie theater, which I thought was really cool. So she dedicated part of her life to taking care of people.
From what I understand, she was just a great person. So that's awesome to hear.
That's cool. Somebody that kind of used their fame and after they left their acting career behind, went and did some great stuff for other people. So that's really, really cool. Yeah, I was really sad about this because Facts of Life, man. Yeah. I loved Facts of Life.
Oh my god, yeah, that's like we grew up on that show.
Yeah.
That's
so yeah. Rest in peace, Mrs. Garrett.
Yes.
And then next, speaking of resting in peace,
I didn't.
It's not really
I don't
sad
think I
news,
intentionally.
but...
Yeah, I don't think I intentionally put these back to back.
Yeah.
I think it was just I was trying to add these, but yeah. So, obviously we all know Star Wars Episode 9 will be released next year, December 20th, and it was highly believed because they said they were not going to digitally recreate her, that Carrie Fisher would not be seen. Of course, for her untimely passing, would not be seen in the 9th movie, and she was supposed to be a major role in it. However, I guess by the blessing of Todd Fisher and Billy Lord, her daughter and her brother respectively, they are going to reuse, they got permission, they're going to reuse footage, I guess that was not used for The Force Awakens and a little bit from The Last Jedi. So she is going to play a role in Star Wars Episode 9, which is great because I assumed they were just gonna do there is gonna be a time jump, so I assumed they were gonna use that. My theory was they were gonna use it in the opening crawl. It was gonna start like after the sudden loss of General Leia, and I would have been okay with that because she had a great last performance in it. But apparently, what I understand they're going to do is this. There's going to still going to have a great scene, and it's going to be a great send off for her. And of course, in the announcement, they announced also Mark Hamill is officially going to come back. I mean, I knew he would, but he was saying things where he might not do it, and he just didn't have his heart in it. But I think I knew. He basically then also said, as Mark Hamill does, he says a lot of things back and forth.
Yeah, he does.
And he did say, well, if JJ wants me in it, I'll be in it. So. He'll be in it. Of course, we all know that Billy D. Williams is reprising his role as Lando. And I would not be surprised if somehow in some sort of flashback scene they could possibly even get Harrison Ford back. That's wait to be seen. I'm sure they would try and keep that under wraps until it either leaks out or the movie comes out. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that's really exciting to me actually because now I'm curious to see how they're going to. What kind of scenes were shot. Like, I understand Last Jedi didn't have many scenes that they did not use of her, but I believe The Force Awakens had a number of them, so that's interesting what they'll do.
Yeah,
so
it'll be neat to see how they do that. Next up, we have more figural horror keychains per cone. Cone, man on the ground.
I said per cone, because I had to give him the credit for it. But I don't know if you saw them. I put the link there. Some of the ones you're choosing are great. So there's I don't know if you saw this. They're like those ones where you don't know what you're getting inside, kind of like those little figures that I get. But this set is phenomenal. I stayed away from the keychain ones because they're about $6. So $6 not to know what you're gonna get. But this series looks like you could get pretty much everyone is a winner. The first one is a Pennywise, Georgie in raincoat, and he's actually holding the little boat. The Annabelle doll, which actually looks way too cheerful for the Annabelle doll.
Yes, she does. I'm looking at them now.
But then there's a Freddy again, but this time he has no hat.
That was cool. I actually like that he doesn't have a hat.
Yeah, I like that. It's like a bald Freddy. Then there's Jason from part 2.
Baghead
with
Jason.
With the sack on his head.
Yeah,
cool. He's got his bag head. And he looks like it looks like he learned to really tie well. If you look at the little tie on the bag.
He took a lot of care. Put some sailor knots in there. So.
Yeah. Then Reagan, not Ronald, but the Reagan from The Exorcist.
I love that one. That one looks cool.
Yeah, that one looks really cool. Beetlejuice, who kind of looks odd. I don't know what this outfit is. This red suit he's wearing. Yeah, looks a little off.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the suit, but I think it came across more not quite as bright in the movie.
Is it?
But
yeah.
He does look kind of weird. He looks more like a zombie.
Yeah, it does not look like Beetlejuice. Like I would not know this was Beetlejuice. It looks like something from The Walking Dead or some other kind of thing. Then there's Jack Torrance from The Shining, of course, which looks really cool.
Really,
I like.
really
even got his 5 o'clock shadow on there, which looks that looks so great. And then I love this, just twin.
Yeah, the twin.
Which is one of the Shining twins.
I would love to have her.
You should get 2. They should have had them both next to each other. But I guess so. Now look at that. So for the completionist people, you're gonna need to buy. You're gonna have to go through the whole series and then hope you get a second twin.
Yeah.
And then they have 2 exclusives, which these are the ones that are really cool. So there's I guess it's a Pennywise that's some glow in the dark, and then a frozen Jack Torrance, which is like all ice blue. It kind of looks like the Obi-Wan Kenobi when he visited Luke, or like any other Force ghost, I guess. But I guess it's like a clear translucent blue, which looks really cool. So those are phenomenal. So I may have to start, I need to, and I know Target's going to have them in that NECA section. I'm going to have to ban myself from Target.
I know. It's terrible. And we go to Target all the time, so it's going to be bad.
Okay, and I apologize. I'm looking at the thing that should not say newfangled.
I was wondering
because it's supposed to be Negan. I don't know why it autocorrects to newfangled.
I was reading it, and I was like, okay, I've watched all of The Walking Dead. I do not remember a character named Newfangled.
Yeah, I did it again. It will not. Okay, forget it. It's Negan from The Walking Dead. Is getting added to the Tekken 7 video game.
That's hilarious. With Lucille.
Yeah, that was another. Yeah, with Lucille, of course. That's another cone gem that he found.
That's hilarious.
But so it is not Newfangled. It is it is Negan from The Walking Dead. Sorry about that, Tim.
Newfangled. I'm looking back through all the seasons, going, who was that? That's funny.
Yeah, and I just obviously you can tell that I don't proof these very well.
Next up, we have a new house added to Halloween Horror Nights. This is another original house, Seeds of Extinction.
I kind of like this.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that they're doing the original houses, but really creative ones.
Yeah, Seeds of Extinction. So this must be like a greenhouse run amok type plant-based thing, which I think is cool. I was always fascinated as a kid by Venus flytraps.
Which is shown in the promo video. Yeah. It looks like there is a Venus flytrap in here. So.
Yeah, so I love the idea of crazy. That's a unique theme. I really like that.
Yeah, and this is a Venus flytrap, the plant, not Venus flytrap from WKRP in Cincinnati.
But you know what?
So just in case you're wondering,
Olivia loves to garden, so this was right up her alley. Like this.
So we'll let her lead the way.
Yeah, we'll let her lead the way in this one. Also, she probably doesn't care. She's like, oh, this one needs a little more water, and this one needs.
I know she'll be trying to plant things and
She's trying to take care of them.
We're gonna have to get some footage of the way these things house because just so you know, I mean, we've touched on this before, but so basically, it's so funny because Julie, my wife Julie, kind of just walks her way through these houses. With as straight as can be, just doesn't get fazed by anyone to the point where people are jumping out at her, and it's almost as if she doesn't even notice. I
almost wonder if she doesn't. I feel like she doesn't have fun.
No, she does. She appreciates it all. She loves all the stuff.
She's not scared.
Yeah, she does not get scared easily. So to her, that part's not it. She just marvels at the design and the creativity of the house. Now, Olivia kind of does it. She watches Tim the entire time.
Yeah.
She watches when Tim... And the funniest thing is the first time I ever met Olivia was when Tim and we had met Julie and I met Tim and Olivia down for Carowinds, Scarowinds event. And Olivia was basically doubled over in laughter with no sound coming out because every time Tim would walk through, they would seem to jump scare him. They would get him every time.
My wife lives to see me get scared. She loves it. She thinks it's the funniest thing in the world.
We almost should put the mic on Olivia as we walk through these houses.
To hear her laughter as I'm jumping at this stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. She I remember, and I'm like, it was so funny. It was like she was literally doubled over in hysterics. It was the funniest thing. And poor Tim is literally 3 feet in the air, jumped up. But yeah, so this will be fun. So yeah, so we'll have to, maybe this will be the one we actually we definitely record going through, so we can tell everyone, everyone can join in on the fun with us.
I was trying to figure out how many houses they've announced so far, because there's supposed to be 10 houses total, right?
Yeah, and I've heard the rumors of some of the other ones, and I mean, I don't know if we, this is not really our forum to sit there speculating of the houses. I know some other sites have done that, and some other podcasts and videocasts have done that. We won't do that. I mean, there's a couple ones that there's one big one that everyone is talking about that's obvious, which I'll let Universal announce, and we'll obviously tell you right away when it gets announced, and I usually share it right away. But I believe I want to say, let's see, they announced Stranger Things,
Trick or Treat,
this one, the cinema one, there was one, and yeah, now we're totally unprepared for this. I think there's at least 5 or 6 announced, so there should be, I believe there's 4 left.
Okay. Yeah.
But we could be wrong on that, so maybe we'll follow up after the podcast with a summary post on social media with the list.
But speaking of haunts, I was really excited about this one. There is a House LLC sequel, which will take place in an abandoned hotel. That was a great movie. That was a great found footage film.
That really didn't get much publicity. It seemed like the found footage 3D, which we both were not big fans of, got a lot of publicity, and this one kind of slipped under the radar. You discovered it.
But I think I think true horror fans discovered this one, and I think amongst the horror community, it's gotten pretty well known. In fact, I heard him talk about it on Shockwaves. A couple episodes
because this one deserves a lot of discussion, because this one was fantastic,
and it shows that you can make a modern found footage movie and make it good and do something different. So, and it wasn't that it really did anything different; it was just really well made.
Right. It was just you could tell they knew what they wanted to get out of it, and they did it. It wasn't any kind of cheap tactics or anything. I mean, they probably did repeat a lot of stuff that you usually find in found footage, but I don't know. I don't know if it was the fact that they incorporated the haunt, which we both love, or just the performances. I mean, I don't know if you could have if there's an acting skill called found footage, but these, I guess it just has to be some kind of, I think the worse of a performance there is in some way, the more natural, unacting works, obviously, for these. And I guess the people just had a more natural performance to it. I don't know.
Yeah. Next up, we have a Scream Factory limited edition steelbook of The Thing coming on November 6th. 3 discs.
Thank God.
Of content.
At least it pushed back to November and not October.
I just went through that entire Scream Factory non-steelbook The Thing, and it took forever to get through the extras. I can't imagine what's on here, but only 10,000 of these are going to be made. But
so maybe you'll miss it.
Maybe I'll miss it.
Yeah,
that looks good. And then we have a 4K restoration of The Fog returning to theaters in October.
Yeah,
I will definitely be there for this one.
It's coming. It's in New York. It opens. Then when it opens, New York theater has a limited engagement. I already saw it. I forgot the name of it, but I saw it. It is playing in New York, so I'll definitely.
Is it just New York? Or is it going to be limited?
Oh no, it's other cities.
Okay.
It's just it had named, I think, New York and another city to. As feature, it was including New York and something.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. So,
yeah.
All right, so that was a big first chop.
Yeah, we had almost 2 weeks of first chop.
Yeah, that's true.
Level.
But
a lot of stuff I want to say came this last few days.
Yeah, we also have 2 weeks worth of dismemberment, but we're going to spare you the details of last week because those discs are already out. But we are going to go through and do a quick mention of these. So let's get right to it. This is our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't cut off my...
Okay, so Brian, we were not here last week to run down the disc release. I'm just going to go through these really quickly before our standard Discmemberment, but these were the releases for August 7th. We had a Predator 4K re-release. They're really pushing these Predator movies because of the upcoming Predator
the new
film.
one, right?
So they're also releasing a 3-movie pack, which includes Predator, Predator 2, and Predators. Actually, these were all released on the 7th, so these have already been released, I should say.
Yes.
Someone's Watching Me, 1978. This is a John Carpenter film.
And he's bigger than ever, John Carpenter, I'll tell you.
And this one has Adrienne Barbeau in it, so that one looks really cool if you want to catch up on your John Carpenter. The Changeling, 1980, George C. Scott classic. Revenge from 2017.
Oh, I heard that guy really got highly acclaimed.
Yeah, this one, I think we talked about this one at one point.
We did,
on the show. One called Pie Wacket, which is something about a girl awakening something in the woods when she performs a ritual to evoke a witch to kill her mother. Sounds like a kind of cool mythical creature type summoning.
Yeah.
One called Desecration from 1999. Don't know much about that one. But it's about a 16-year-old who accidentally causes a nun's death, which unleashes a chain of supernatural events.
Wasn't that Psycho 3?
Wildling from 2018. I was really interested in this one. This is the one that stars Liv Tyler and Brad Dourif.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely want to check that one out. One called Marrowbone. Another one I'm interested in because it has...
Oh, look who's in it.
Anya Taylor-Joy is in it.
Yes.
And
I will watch anything with her in it.
Dead Shack from 2017. Looks like another zombie film. And I don't know how to pronounce this one. Gehenna or Gehenna. I don't know how.
Gehenna, it looks like.
Starring Doug Jones, which is always good in these creature features.
Yeah.
Lance Henriksen. And something about a group visits Saipan to search for locations for their company's newest resort. And they discover a hidden bunker on the property to explore, and which leads to some thrilling events, I guess. And then finally, we had an Alien re-release. This is the one with the Deadpool photobomb cover.
Oh, right,
so two cuts of the film. I don't know how many times they can re-release Alien.
Enough already, really. This is like the actual physical release representation of the Cat O' Nine Tails.
Yeah. So anyway, so those were your releases. A quick rundown for last week. We apologize we didn't give you a full blown dive into those, but we will get into this week. There's plenty to make up for it. There's some great releases this week. In fact, the first one up is definitely my pick of the week, and probably yours too, Brian.
Yeah, this
is Return of the Living Dead Part 2. These are the Blu-ray releases, by the way, for August 14th.
Yes.
All right, so Return of the Living Dead Part 2 from 1988, Shout Factory, directed by Ken Wiederhorn, starring James Karen, Tom Matthews, Michael Kenworthy. Curious kids unearth the barrels that helped revive the dead of the first film, which proves the second time's an undead charm. This is a packed collector's edition from Shout Factory. Has 2 new audio commentaries, one with actress Suzanne Snyder, one with Gary Smart, who is a co-author of a Return of the Living Dead book, and filmmaker Christopher Griffiths, so that should be a really fun one.
Yeah, and this is funny because I don't know if because I don't know how out of the New York area the Pathmark chain was, but James Karen, who was in this, used to do all the Pathmark commercials back when I was a kid. So it's kind of funny when I first saw him, and I realized when I first saw this movie, I'm like, hey, that's the Pathmark guy.
There's a bunch of new interviews and older commentaries. You're already up to 3 commentaries with this with this disc.
Oh, look, they have Suzanne Snyder doing a commentary.
Yeah, a bunch of features, theatrical trailers behind it. I mean, everything you could throw in a disc is on this one, so this is a definite must-buy.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I have the first one. I'm a completionist, so I need to get
the next one up is What Have They Done to Your Daughters? From 1974. They made some weird damn movies in the year of my birth. I will tell you that.
They did. From Aerodynamics, the famous coaster company.
Yeah.
No, I'm like.
This was an Arrow release, directed by Massimo Dallamano, starring Giovanni Ralli, Claudio Casanelli, and Mario Adorf. I don't know.
His name just tailed off there.
Police investigate an apparent suicide of a teen girl and uncover details of a teenage prostitution racket. They go on the hunt for a motorcycle riding killer.
Every time I hear racket and used in that way, I just think of like some old guy going, "Stop with the racket!" You know?
You teenage prostitutes, keep it down over there. They got people trying to sleep. Oh my god. 2K restoration. God, this is all subtitle stuff. A couple featurettes, some interviews, unused hardcore footage shot for the film.
Mr. Massimo,
you dirty dog.
Dirty man, yeah.
So, if you want to see some porno...
maybe he just took some scenes from the Caligula uncut. Threw that in
the
there.
first pressing, they're going to have a collector's booklet, but I don't know. They'll probably be skipping that one.
Yeah, I don't know about really spending money on that.
Next up is The Unborn from 1991, another Shout Factory release.
And another James Cameron vehicle. What's going on here?
Directed by Rodman Flender, which I love that name.
Yeah.
Starring Brooke Adams, Jeff Hyenga, James Cameron, of course. A couple who cannot have children joins an in vitro fertilization program. While she is with child, she finds strange occurrences happening within her body, which is to be expected when you're pregnant.
Yes.
The horror surrounding the child comes to light when the parents find that their child has been part of a mad experiment. So this one comes with an audio commentary.
Yeah, but by Rodman Flender.
Oh, man. The next one up, I was questioning if it was horror at all. But apparently it's maybe horror adjacent.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously Terry Gilliam, he does a broad scope of like, I mean, some people, you know, like, his movies are so odd, so but knows, horror is,
and it has Jennifer Tilly, so I had to throw it in there, but
right, so that kind of brings it in a little bit more, but
this one is Tideland from 2005. I had never heard of this film. It was puzzling, but as mentioned, directed by Terry Gilliam, starring Jeff Bridges, Jennifer Tilly, and Jodelle Ferland, and I'm a huge Jeff Bridges fan, so I love his stuff, so I would watch him in anything.
Yeah, and he obviously has a good Terry Gilliam connection from The Fisher King, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So because of the actions of her irresponsible parents, a young girl is left alone on a decrepit country estate and survives inside her fantastic imagination. So this one has a commentary.
This one actually sounds really good.
It does. It sounds like maybe I'm guessing some of her imagination has some horror elements in it, but commentary by Terry Gilliam and co-writer Tony Grisoni. I like that too. Sounds like a children's pasta.
It does, doesn't it?
We got a 45.
Tony Grisoni.
40. Was that Pee-wee? Who was that?
I don't know what. I think it was trying to do with Tony the Tiger, introducing pasta.
I thought you were doing Pee-wee,
but I was not
eating
prepared.
Breakfast.
I did.
I pity the fool.
Yeah. I pity the fool. I don't know, Mr. Tasty. Yeah. I was not prepared for any of these imitations.
Anyway, tons of featurettes on this one, interviews, all kinds of good stuff. If you're a Terry Gilliam fan, this would be a good release there.
And funny, with today's society, I figured Tideland was about a cult of teenagers starting to eat the pods and turn into zombies or something. Kickstarter number 105.
There you go. Next up is Bad Samaritan. I think we talked about this one recently.
Yeah, and this is Dean Devlin, for that guy. Obviously, he used to team up with Roland Emmerich and for Independence Day and 2012, those movies.
Yeah, this one's released by Sony, starring David Tennant, Robert Sheehan, and Kerry Condon. I
don't think this did very well, right?
I never heard much about it. I mean, it really fell out of the theaters like instantly.
Yeah.
But it's about a pair of burglars who stumble upon a woman being held captive in a home they intended to rob, which sounds a lot like
Don't Breathe, right?
Yeah, Don't Breathe. Yeah, I was saying Don't Look Now. I don't know what was. That's a completely different movie.
Yeah.
But Don't Breathe. It sounds a lot like that. So the next one up, I have no clue what this movie is. It's called The American Guinea Pig: The Song of Solomon. From 2017, released by Unearthed Films, directed by Stephen Biro, starring Jessica Cameron, Scott Gabby, and David E. McMahon.
However, this is we can't gloss by this too fast because Jessica Cameron actually follows us on social media.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll have to pay very close attention to this one.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church is trying to save an innocent soul from the ravages of satanic possession. Wave after wave of holy men are sent to confront the possessed. I have this vision of like a tower defense game where you're sending priests out, and, and Satan is like blasting them with laser bolts.
You think that's like the one they the anchor, like that last guy they're saving for the end. And...
God, I forgot what I was going to say.
Now you got me imaging of like that game Lemmings.
I know, I can't get it out of my head now. Tons of video interviews with this one, so a lot of video interviews and audio commentary, behind the scenes, outtakes. So pretty packed disc. I don't know where they got that name from. It's really weird.
But we have to give it a look for Jessica Cameron. So we'll give her props and we'll take a look at it.
This next one up looks like a lot of fun. This one's called.
I remember this movie.
Yeah, it's called.
I remember the artwork with that alien guy's head on it.
Yeah, Laser Blast from 1978. Yeah. This is being released by Full Moon in one of their VHS collection boxes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's directed by Michael Ray, starring Kim Milford, Cheryl Smith, and Gianni Russo. A teenager stumbles upon an alien weapon which transforms him into a grotesque killer. This has an audio commentary that was included on the standard Blu-ray, and it has a cool... I saw a picture of this, the Laser Blast alien figure in a collectible blister pack. So it actually has...
I may have to get this.
Yeah, and it comes in the big retro VHS big box, and it's numbered.
I saw this, and I remember this. I remember this from back in back when I was a kid. I was younger with this movie. This I might have to buy. Just for nostalgia's sake. Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
Next up, we have a Gordon. I actually want to say Gordon Herschel.
Come on,
Lewis.
Tim. It's in the title.
Herschel Gordon Lewis. The Gorger Girls from 1972.
And we have nothing to do with this film.
No, we did not.
Believe it or not. However, it's in the year of my birth. Coincidence?
That's what we need to call our female groupies. The Gorger Girls.
It is the Gorger Girls, yeah.
That's hard to say, Gorger Girls.
Gorger, yeah, I can't say it, actually. It's a tongue
1972 by Arrow. Herschel Gordon Lewis directed. Frank Kress, Amy Farrell, Hedda Lubin. I could have sworn we've mentioned her before. Maybe, yeah. Hedda name Lubin, sounds familiar. A young reporter enlists the help of a top-notch private eye to solve the murder of a female stripper at a Chicago nightclub. So, I don't know.
Why don't I see that in requiring a top-notch private eye? I think you could probably get a run-of-the-mill private eye to...
I think you can get an intern to do that one.
Yeah. And you can get Bobby Brady and his little like private eye kit to solve this one, I think.
With like the fake mustache disguise.
Yeah, remember that? And he's going around and he's like, yeah.
Oh,
totally. Yeah.
And of course,
I can't believe this is still going on, this dismemberment, by the way.
I know. Well, of course it would not be a week of Blu-ray releases without another random Puppet Master title.
Right.
So this week we have
34
Retro Puppet Master from 1999, released by Full Moon, directed by David DeCouture, under a different name, by the way, because he didn't want to give his name out, but I'm giving it out, even though I'd mispronounced it.
You cannot fool Tim on these dismemberments.
Starring Greg Sestero, Brigida Dow, and Stephen Blackheart. In the late 19th century, an ancient Egyptian sorcerer discovers the art of transferring the souls of the dead into inanimate objects. So,
isn't this also the plot to The Brave Little Toaster? I think this is just like the adult version of it.
You're right. Oh my gosh. So let's get through the theatrical releases.
Let's see if we can do it.
So first up is Slenderman, directed.
Finally,
Slenderman gets to make his appearance. Directed by Sylvain White, starring Joey King, Javier Botet.
Oh, that's a good. Wow, you said that really good.
Julia Goldani, I've been practicing. Julia Goldani Tellis. In a small town in Massachusetts, a group of friends, fascinated by the internet lore of the Slenderman, attempt to prove that he doesn't actually exist until one of them mysteriously goes missing. Call me crazy, I kind of want to see this.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
It sounds kind of Blair Witchy in a way.
Yeah, but...
I mean, I don't think Slenderman's scary. Like, I don't find him scary, but for some reason, I feel like this could be kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd want to see it just for the, like, not even worrying about the whole lore behind it and any of the history behind it. Just, from the trailers, it looked interesting anyway, even if I didn't know anything about it, which I really didn't know much until you told me more. So, yeah. But this next one is what I'm really excited for.
I'm going to see this weekend for sure.
Yeah, I think Julie and I said we're going to try and fit it in this weekend because we still have the free ticket.
Yeah.
We got from something, so I want to. Well, we might use it and go see this.
So this is The Meg, directed by John Turteltaub.
And it's not the Meg Tilly, by the way, which is another Kickstarter, which we will just announce.
The Meg Tilly. Starring Jason Statham, Bing Bing Lee, Rainn Wilson. After escaping an attack by what he claims was a 70-foot shark, Jonas Taylor must confront his fears to save those trapped in a sunken submersible. I feel like this movie has been previewed forever.
It does, yeah.
They have really hyped the heck out of this movie for weeks and weeks and weeks. I feel like I've known about this movie forever.
Yeah, did you see someone post that? I don't know if this was an original artwork or it's an actual promotion piece or someone created it to promote this film for fun. But there's one where it shows a shark, which it looks suspiciously like Jaws, floating around with a barrel behind it. And the Meg coming behind it with his mouth open, ready to devour it, and it says, "You're going to need a bigger everything." And I thought that, cool. Even if that is not original, I said, that is awesome.
Yeah, I read this book. I think I mentioned it when we first talked about this. I read this book back in the day, and it was really, really good. So I love big monster. I love underwater stuff. You know that. I love any kind of water, creature thing. So I'm definitely in for this one.
And plus, shark movies are great. This is the month of is this Shark Week? Is August, right? Usually,
I don't know. I don't have cable.
Speaking
anymore,
of that, there was actually a shark spotted. We go out to out east and a lot over the summer into the Hamptons area, and they actually it's basically a bay. Is around there in the Shinnecock Canal. They saw a shark, and someone got it on video. It was floating around where the commercial fishermen are. But they figured it was a small shark, and it was figured that there must have been something wrong with it because there's no sharks in that area. It's just never a thing. So they might have thought something was wrong with it, but it's kind of interesting that I was like, maybe it's viral promotion to the Meg.
They just release random sharks.
Yeah, let's just start releasing random sharks to get people all frenzied about it.
Oh my gosh.
Great marketing, I'll tell you. I'd hire that guy.
So, we have a couple of limited releases. First one up is Along Came the Devil, directed by Jason Devan, starring Sydney Sweeney, Madison Lintz, and Jessica Barth. After a troubled childhood, Ashley searches for a connection and unknowingly invites in a demonic force, which leaves her loved ones fighting for her soul.
I mean, it could be okay, but it kind of that plot seems to be used so many times. Yeah.
And then the next one I am actually really interested in. This one is called Summer of '84, directed by Francois Simard and Anouk Wissel, starring Graham. I don't know.
The way you said it,
was
I know you're getting so lazy with it. Now you're just like Anouk Wissel, Graham Vercher.
Whatever. I was going to pronounce it the North Carolina way. Graham Vercher, Judah Lewis, Caleb Emery. After suspecting that their police officer neighbor is a serial killer, a group of teenage friends spend their summer spying on him and gathering evidence, but as they get closer to discovering the truth, things get dangerous. So this one has a real Stranger Things vibe to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I remember this now. I forgot the name of it. I had seen the trailer for this about a month ago. Cone, of course, tipped me off on this. This looks amazing.
Yeah,
this
looks really good.
Yeah. That's right. I was really waiting for this to come out. I think this is it stinks though. It's a limited release, so it may be difficult. But I could see this being one of those things that gets released on video on demand pretty quickly. So
yeah, so I'm definitely going to be looking out for that one. Looks cool.
Yeah. This one looks. You're right. Very Stranger Things, kind of mix of like Stranger Things, Son of Sam, kind of those.
Yeah.
What's that? No, Summer of Sam, kind of that kind of. Or what's the one? Frequency. Remember they had the Zodiac, or whatever, the killer and a Nightingale killer. It's like that vibe to it of that kind of famous type killer that people are looking for. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, well, let's get to our final entry in our Summer Slaycation series, which is Jigsaw. So we went through, we've gone through half of the Saw series so far. We got another half to go.
Yeah, I'm glad we split this up, as we'll get to. It's hard to watch these
rough.
in a row.
And this has been harder than Hellraiser to get through.
I think so. You're right. Me too.
But we're going to go through Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3, and Saw 4. So let's get right to it. Saw 2004, directed by James Wan, written by James Wan and Lee Wanell, starring Carrie Elwes, Leigh Whannell, and Danny Glover. Waking up in an undisclosed location in an unknown room, two men, Adam and Gordon, are trapped into a single room with a dead body. Given random tools with riddles hidden around the room. Oh man, who wrote this synopsis? It's
I
terrible.
know, they just keep adding periods and spots.
Wondering who could have done this, there are clues to who might have done it, the Jigsaw killer. The question is not just who, but why would a serial killer leave two men in a room?
This is the worst synopsis.
I can't believe this is like a major movie to both Adam and Gordon hiding secrets they must trust and work together to get out or die. Can they survive Jigsaw's game or die trying? That's a terrible synopsis, but anyway, you guys know
it really
Saw.
gives such bad justice to probably the best film
This
in the
is
series.
by far the best film in the series.
Yeah.
Not only because James Wan directed it, but also because we didn't know what was going on. The later entries in the series became very formulaic. So this is when we first we don't even know Jigsaw in the first movie.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, they mentioned him in there. And by the way, just to show you how bad that synopsis was, it was Dr. Lawrence Gordon, not just Gordon. So this the guy that wrote the synopsis just made shortcuts all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't remember his name being. I remember Gordon, but I thought that was his Dr. Gordon. They said, but yeah, so. But yeah, no, yeah. This one was when I first saw this. I remember, no pun intended. But it was really it was so unique because it was so cool because you really didn't know what was going on, and it's funny now in this thing where escape rooms are so huge and they actually have an official licensed Saw escape room in Las Vegas, which I'm dying to try, by the way. This was so cool because you really it kind of put you in to a story, and you were about as clueless as the two people locked in that room,
right?
And you're kind of there with them, so you really can relate. You're like, okay, wait a minute, what would you do in this spot? It's like, okay, they can only reach so far, and they have to look around, and it was just a cool, unique thing, and they gave you little bits of backstory as you kind of needed it, but. Yeah, I just thought this one was really enjoyable. This one I can watch over and over again. It's not. Because it kind of was just had the formula. As we get on, you'll see they become more about the torture elements than they do the actual.
Yeah,
the
that's another reason.
Suspense.
That's another reason I like this one better because the other ones try to up the gore factor,
right?
Try to get more and more violent. And this one, I mean, although it was gory and violent for the time, it wasn't as gratuitous as it seems to get in later entries. So yeah, I remember seeing this one in the theater and I was blown away. I thought it was so cool because it was not a slasher. It was something completely different and very, very intellectual for a horror movie.
Right.
I mean, you really had to think and figure out what was going on. I remember getting completely suckered by the twist ending.
You don't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
I know we'll obviously and there's going to be some spoilers in this discussion, but just because if you haven't seen the first one by now, first of all,
and spoiling the other ones isn't much of a spoiler because they're
but this one obviously was spoiled.
But having basically we'll just say the reveal of Jigsaw.
Yeah, and so you don't even find out really about how he did that whole thing to the reveal until I think it was the fourth one, right? When they flash back.
Yeah.
Which was kind of
third
cool.
Or the fourth, I can't remember.
That's the thing.
Together.
They really do. 3 and 4 blend together a little bit to me. I mean, I know I can distinguish them, but with that whole they do this whole kind of time warp, simultaneous trickery of this is going on during when this is happening. So, and but I kind of liked how that part of it, how it all timed in. But yeah, but this one, what was so good about it, I think, is that you felt like you were along for the ride, and the other ones didn't quite capture that. But yeah, that's what I think what made this one stand out so good, and you were introduced to the whole kind of genre they were trying to get you in. So
yeah, so they wasted no time in getting these movies out, but it was a tradition for a while there that you would have a Saw movie every October. So they immediately on the success of Saw turned around and did Saw 2 in 2005. Now this one was directed by Darren Lynn Bousman?
I think Bousman, yeah.
This one was written by Leigh Whannell, who did the co-wrote the first one, and Darren Bousman. But this one starred Donnie Wahlberg,
Yes.
Beverly Mitchell, and Frankie G. Detective Matthews and the SWAT team goes on a mission to arrest Jigsaw, who strikes again, but even that is only a part of Jigsaw's detailed plan. Matthews soon gets to know that 8 people are trapped in an old house and are playing Jigsaw's game. One of them is his own son.
I really like this one too, actually.
This was a good follow-up. This was a really good sequel.
And I like the kind of like, for lack of a better word, party atmosphere of where there was a group of people.
Yeah, they expanded out. It's not just a room now. You're in an entire house. It's going to get filled up with nerve gas if they don't solve all the puzzles before time runs out. And you have the aspect of the detective son. So you got somebody to care about. Right,
on the outside now is searching for this while this is supposedly, and I say supposedly happening because obviously there's trickery again with the time trickery that goes through this, that literally if you're not paying attention you can completely miss
right, yeah,
like a little aspect of that. But and it's so funny because at the end they still have all the first 4 kind of really had that same thing of those quick shots and edits and jarring like sequences and stuff where they, you know, with the camera. And then there's also a couple of things where they always at the end there's always seems to be like Jigsaw is like recapping things, and you know, like, oh, if only I caught that line. He said it, you know, like in this one. I mean, spoiler alert here. Okay, so he says, if you just sit and talk with me long enough, your son will be revealed. You know, and he was there the whole time, but like the master of manipulation, and he knows how well people's minds work. You know, Jigsaw realizes that most likely he is going to not believe him, and he's going to go off thinking that his son is still trapped there, and because, you know, he basically plays off of human nature's most common traits, you know.
Yeah. Now, when you said about the quick cuts, I have to say, those quick cut montages that they do that are just like, you know, like, it does these like super fast, almost subliminal things. I feel like that's so dated now. Like,
it is.
For some reason, it's such a dated effect, and it bugged me in every single one of these because they use it so much.
Yeah,
and it seems like such a dated technique.
It was like Natural Born Killers used that a lot. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was just like that. It reminded me.
Yeah. Nobody in 2018 ever use that. That's just terrible.
Yeah. There's no need for it. We get it. Okay, you can edit. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, but it's either, so it's like, it's funny. It was like, this series started off so strong, and the fact that the sequel was really strong too, and it was good at it, you know, and I hadn't seen, like, I remember, I knew I had seen the first one. I can't remember the ones after that. I thought it was 2 or 3 that I saw, and then I think I saw another one somewhere down the road. I definitely had not seen all of them, so I wasn't quite sure after the first one which ones I saw. I think the second one I did see. So as I watched this again, I remember. So it's like the first 2 were so strong that it's like, you know, I guess, like, you know, you wonder, like, okay, so how are they're gonna follow up now with the third one? And while it wasn't, I mean, I guess we should probably talk about the second one a little bit, right?
Well, I just want to mention, because I think what you're leading into is that we have a big reveal in Saw Part 2.
Right.
About Amanda Young.
Yes. Not Amanda Young that we know.
No,
different
not the one we know. But that she is Jigsaw's protege, and she's assisting him. So that was our big twist there in the sequel. So, so that kind of leads into, now you kind of get an idea of the direction they may be going in Saw 3.
Right.
Because you got to remember, you've created a villain who is dying of cancer.
Right, and you know he's only can stay so long.
Right, so it's kind of weird because you've got a movie franchise where you've basically almost killed off your main villain in the first film.
Yeah.
Nearly. And in Saw 2, he's in even worse shape, it seems like.
Yeah.
So Saw 3 came out a year later, as usual, 2006. Again, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, written by Leigh Whannell, and James Wan co-wrote Part 3.
Yeah.
Starring Tobin Bell, of course. Now Tobin Bell finally gets billing. Shawnee Smith, who plays Amanda Young, and Angus McFadden. This one has a pretty intricate summary, though. Jeff is an anguished man who grieves and misses his young son that was killed by a driver in a car accident. He has become obsessed for revenge against the man, and reckless with his wife and daughter.
Oh, okay.
When Dr. Lynn Denyon, who has troubles with her marriage, is abducted by the deranged Jigsaw's apprentice Amanda, she is brought to a gruesome warehouse to keep John Kramer alive in spite of having a terminal brain tumor. Amanda puts a necklace gadget full of explosives around Dr. Lynn's neck connected to John Kramer's life support system and tells her that if he dies, the device will explode. Meanwhile, Jeff is submitted to a sick game of forgiveness with surprising dark consequences. So this one, like many part 3s, kind of went in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
So
this one was like twist after twist, though. At some point.
This was a very plot heavy one.
Yeah.
For this series, and this kind of set the stage for how convoluted these things get.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting. I like the back and forth between Jeff's, Jigsaw basically manipulating Jeff.
Right.
And his demons. Like the sequence where I believe it was the judge.
Oh,
that
yeah.
He's put in like the pit and like chopped up pigs get poured on him. Oh, yeah, it was disgusting. But then you also have this back and forth where Jigsaw is basically not blackmailing. It's forcing this doctor to keep him alive.
Yeah.
But this one really ups the gore factor.
Oh my god, that scene with the guy where he's on the torture rack, that actually, it got to the point where Julie was kind of watching these with me. She's like, I can't watch this anymore. She got up, went into the other room, and actually cranked up the volume on the TV because it was like she didn't want to hear the sound of it anymore because it was so torture. And it was tough to watch. I mean, I was like cringing. And but this movie this series has a lot of eyeball things, which I told you, like I'm not big with the eyes, and so yeah, some of the ones like the one where the guy in the bed gets the thing in his eye, and then the other one gets the guy's got where the key is right below his eye, and he's got to cut. I'm like, oh god, I'm like, I think I died too. Yeah. I don't know how I do
this one was where the gore really got to me gratuitous.
Yeah.
I mean, because they show even the surgery on Jigsaw's skull.
Oh my god, yeah.
Lengthy detail. They show this doctor cutting up in his skull and just blood everywhere. I mean, it was starting to get just ridiculously gratuitous.
Yeah, and watching these, I think what's hard is watching these so close together. I mean, most people got these a year apart.
Right, yeah, exactly. So
like watching these back to back, I'm less like, because I think I watched one, and then I think I watched 2, 3, and 4 in the span of 24 hours. That is rough.
Yeah, I watched, I think I watched all 4 of these over 2 days.
Yeah,
that's just too much. I mean, and I'm not despite the name of the podcast, I'm not actually a big gore fan.
That was more of a play on, it's easy to...
I like it. I like over the top gore, which I can laugh at, not so much the realistic stuff, which Saw kind of excels in the realistic type.
Right,
stuff.
and I think what makes it, the worst part about this is, when you said with the over top gore is most of the time it's in an outlandish setting. But this is not so far-fetched. None of this is far-fetched. Because, all these things that these human nature, these things that he attacks on people's way, oh, you're not living because you're wallowing and stuff. Well, who doesn't do that? It's like, you have a tragedy in your life. It's the human nature is to feel sorry for yourself. People do that. So, and then to be punished for it, because some guy's like, oh, well, I'm going to, I'm dying. So, you know what? You could live, but you're just upset because someone, yes, he takes it to a new, horrible level because, acts like, well, just because your son died, you should go live. No, some people have trouble dealing with it. And he punishes them for it because he's, kind of a crazy person. But what's scary is this is realistic, to the point of where this could happen. It's not a supernatural killer going around slashing people up, or a guy that can get shot 50 times and come stand up. And
granted, it's far-fetched in that he would be able to create all these elaborate things as a cancer patient.
Right. He couldn't.
He's supposedly so terminally ill and weak, but yet he somehow finds a way. Of course he has. Obviously we find out he has an accomplice.
And he also teases that they have that thing where he gets into the car accident and he could survive. So I guess even though he's dying of cancer, he's got some kind of ability to withstand a lot. But
I don't know. It's the overall premise is kind of silly, but the violence itself is very realistic.
Oh my god, yeah. It's brutal to watch.
So then in 2007 we get Saw 4, again directed by our friend Darren Lynn Bousman, written by Patrick Melton, Marcus Dunstan, and Thomas Fenton. So a lot of writers on this one, because they probably needed that many to keep the freaking plot line straight.
Yeah, because I still don't I watched this one and I'm still had to sit there and say, wait a minute, so wait, when was this time period? I mean, it's like, it's hard to watch.
This one's confusing, because Saw 4 basically takes place at the same time as Saw 3.
Right? And the beginning scenes are after Saw 4, basically. It's like you're getting a weird flashback that they don't tell you about. It's kind of a cheat to me a little bit.
It is.
But I don't know. This whole franchise kind of does that. So is it, like, how much of a cheat is it when that's what they basically do it every time to some level? But
yeah, I mean, I guess we should expect it. But so this one, Jigsaw and his apprentice Amanda are dead. And now, upon the news of Detective Carey's murder, 2 seasoned FBI profilers, Agent Strom and Agent Perez, arrive in the terrified community to assist the veteran Detective Hoffman in sifting through Jigsaw's latest grisly remains and piecing together the puzzle. However, when SWAT Commander Rigg is abducted and thrust into a game, the last officer untouched by Jigsaw has but 90 minutes to overcome a series of demented traps and save an old friend or face the deadly consequences.
See, I like the element with Rigg in it. I liked his arc in this.
Yeah.
Like, his story was fun to follow because it was like, you were kind of rooting for him to get through it because he was so, he saw a lot of stuff going on that he's had to witness here, and so you really got his drive, I mean, his lost colleagues and friends and possibly his wife, I mean, so he, you get his drive, and he, that part of the story I liked seeing, actually. It was really, that part was, it's funny, the basic stories behind these are so good. Like, even if you took out the gore, you might get a really good suspense film.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good. It's funny. It's like sometimes at some points I thought the gore was almost a detriment to it but that again, it could be that we watched it back to back to back like this. So, I do want to preface by saying that, and I'm not, but look, Tim and I are no prudes to gore, obviously.
Yeah.
But, it's like, it's such a rough, grisly series. And, granted, we also watched I think my whole box set is all unrated, so I'm not sure if this is what I don't know what was different from the theatrical release.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to remember 2005 was Hostel,
right?
Movies like that. I mean, this was the peak of torture porn,
right?
Phase. I mean,
did this start it kind of at some level? Did it start it? Or
yeah, I think it did. I mean, I think people. I mean, this was shocking. The Saw series was, like, shocking when it came out. Hostel probably more so.
Oh yeah, well that was that literally was torture.
But,
yeah,
I mean, this was like the peak of like the torture porn craze, and I think that's the reason I just don't care for it now, because looking back, it just seems so dated a genre.
Yeah,
and you don't see that anymore. I mean, nowadays it's a movie's much more likely to be supernatural or
right.
Demonic possession or something like that. There really isn't that drive for overly gory and realistic. And it might be that these days there's too much real horror in the world.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't think people want that. I mean, they want escapism, so they go to like more supernatural stuff that doesn't see, it's kind of an escape. Whereas maybe back in 2005 things seemed a little more cheery on the outside. So,
yeah, I mean,
you could kind of indulge in this weird torture porn genre. But
and this one was interesting because this one gave you a little bit of more backstory to John Kramer / Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Where you actually felt, you could kind of see what drove him a little bit to his that. I mean, he had, he is.
He's a bit of a sympathetic villain.
He is. It's something. I mean, granted, what he does is horrible, but I mean, if you weave through all the gore and you get to the heart of it, he had a tragic life. I mean, he seemed like a somewhat decent guy, and he was behind his wife trying to help people, and then the tragedy struck with his wife, and it's basically that one character that kind of like spawned his whole insanity, because here's a guy that they're trying to help and doesn't appreciate the second chance he's given, and then in his greed and selfishness ends up killing his unborn son. But they give a hint to that there was something he was starting to lose it a little bit before that. I guess she said something about Gideon, which was the son. It was planned or something, like to the day. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't remember after this. So maybe they go into that a little more. But Tim said it. There is a bit of a sympathetic nature to him when you see what he's gone through. It's not like he just said, you know what, I think I'm going to start killing people all of a sudden, or as he puts it, he hates murderers. He's not really a killer, although it's debatable. You put these people, he's got to at least be an accomplice to these things, but and it's this whole, you could see what drove him to it, and the series did it up until this point does a good job of at least giving you motives for different actions, that the characters are taking, so.
I really enjoyed the first one. The sequel was actually pretty good. I did like some elements of Saw 3, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, they're not bad. I mean,
yeah, Saw 4 was the first one where I kind of started to tune out, I believe.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was just me having watched so many of the films in 2 days. That's what was causing me, or if it was just the quality level was just going down at that point, past the point where I really cared.
It was also a lot more of the same.
Yeah, it is, and you start seeing okay, I know there's gonna be these quick montages. I know there's gonna be this crazy reveal at the end,
and the time's gonna be not what you think. Yeah, you kind of get, you know where it's heading.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want to, the one thing I do want to say though, is, and not to knock the, I mean, there were a couple of little bit, certain cheesy performances in there, but you can't say that Tobin Bell did not knock it out of the park.
That's true. He is a fantastic villain.
Yeah, I think no matter how maybe strange or tiresome maybe these films grow as they go on, but through the first 4 he knocks it out. I mean, obviously it wasn't that much in the first one, but yeah, he really knocks it out of the park. I mean, you get the fact that you could actually feel a little sympathetic for him at moments through this franchise up until this point shows what a good actor he is. And he's just that slow one note delivery he does is so creepy and so ominous at points, but it's and sometimes you want to sit there, you say, oh my god, I want to take a bat and hit him in the face, it's but he's so good in it. So yeah, I definitely don't want to diminish any of his work in this, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, he's really, really good, and probably my favorite part of the entire series.
Yeah,
are the scenes with him in it. He's actually the bright spot in a lot of these. Like I said, none of these are bad. I mean, they're all entertaining in their own way. I mean, all of the torture devices and stuff, as gory as they are, they're interesting. There's a lot of creativity there with the way these things are set up. So I like that part of it. But as a whole, I just feel like the series is dated. Maybe that's why the newest one, Jigsaw, just didn't work, because it was more of the same. And you're like, the times have changed. We have to get past the this doesn't work anymore.
Aren't they talking about another one too?
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'm sure they make enough money off of these. They can just keep making them forever. But I'd love to see them just completely go in a completely different direction with this somehow. Yeah. But who knows? But anyway, so we have a great beer pairing this week.
Yeah, and this is a beer I've seen times, and it's funny, this brewery, which we follow on Instagram, promotes this beer all the time, so it was in my mind from the moment we were doing this series. So it's called Jigsaw Jazz
nice.
By Fort Hill Brewery in East Hampton, Massachusetts. It's kind of style we like, which is good. It's a double IPA, 9.3%. That's good. I like when it's a nice strong IPA like that.
Oh yeah.
So it's a bright, citrusy double IPA with deceptively light body and dry flavor. To compose this brew, we borrowed techniques used by Belgian brewers to achieve a big beer without much sweetness. The Citra dry hop gives this beer its bright citrus notes and aroma. So that's good. I love Citra hops. It kind of almost reminds me of I don't know if you have Little Citra from Pipeworks, but it's like that. It's that's what it kind of sounds like to me. So I'm interested to grab. I may have to grab this beer next time because I've seen it in the stores. So next time I'm there, I may have to grab this.
Sounds really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So. Okay. Well, our 6 degrees of decapitation. Let's go way back to 2 weeks ago. We asked you to connect Juliette Cummins to Juliette Binoche. Juliette Cummins was in Deadly Dreams with Troy Evans. Troy Evans was in Demolition Man with Bob Gunton, and Bob Gunton was in The 33 with Juliette Binoche.
Yeah, so look at that, we got a 3.
Yeah. So this the one for this week's pretty funny, but as you might imagine, you can do this one in 2.
Yeah.
We're going to ask you to connect Danny Glover to Crispin Glover.
Yeah. I should have done John Glover. Now that I think of it, maybe that would have been a little bit harder, but oh well.
Yeah, but anyway, anything with Crispin Glover in it, even if it's a decapitation link, is good with me because he's such a weird dude.
Yeah, and speaking of Crispin Glover, what's kind of cool about the Friday the 13th, the Jason from Part 4, I should say, action figures, it comes with the corkscrew as one of the weapons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So now they just need to release a Crispin Glover figure so you can go like, can I have the corkscrew, Ted? If not, like, is there a Back to the Future figure? Did they ever make the Crispin Glover, like the little version?
I can't imagine. I mean,
I don't think they did, but we need to somehow get a Crispin Glover figure.
I can't
made.
Imagine he would lend his likeness to anything.
Yeah, he didn't
after
want to
he
get credited
sued
half
about
of
the.
stuff.
He sued Back to the Future 2 for using his likeness.
Oh, that's right.
Because they had that other actor made up to look like him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy.
Some nerve. Okay.
But so anyway, that's Jigsaw. I mean, these are hard to talk about because it's really just sequences of people getting tortured. So
right.
And the plot lines are so convoluted that it's almost impossible to really do them justice. I mean, I've watched the movies and I've seen these multiple times, probably. Unlike you, Brian, I think I watched all of them as they came out of the theater, and I probably watched each one at least once on video. So I had seen all of these, and I still can't tell you the plot lines to most of these. They just go over my head. But we'll be back next week with the remainder of our Saw franchise, and then after that, who knows? We got a lot of I'm ready for Halloween season, Brian. I already bought my first box of pumpkin spice cereal.
I know. We need to bring out the hashtag.
Yeah, that was in July, by the way. I actually bought that cereal in July.
I'm still looking for it. I haven't found it yet. Usually Target carries that stuff, but I didn't have it yet.
I mean, maybe it was one that was sitting on the shelf since last October.
No, that's new this year. The Special K is a new thing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they had that last year, the Special K.
I don't remember it because I would have gotten it because I like Special K.
Yeah, no, that's a new one this year, and they just released it really early. But, I've noticed now pumpkin stuff is year-round. It's not even just around the fall, it ramps it up, but so when I was in Branson, there was a section of one of those kitchen stores at their little Branson Landing, which is basically like the Island in Pigeon Forge kind of a thing, like a whole bunch of shops and everything. And they had they already had pumpkin stuff out in the front, like little decorations and stuff. So
oh my God.
I mean, and if you think about it, Halloween Horror Nights is just over a month away already. So
I know, I'm so excited. Oh man, I'm so excited.
So yeah, we actually we definitely have to get that going because we need to have shirt designs so people can vote so we can get those made.
I mean, it was nice because GenCon was basically, as you know, you're always looking at the next big trip, and it's hard to look past that one, to get to the next one. So everything was focused around GenCon. I was so worried about GenCon. Figured all the logistics of that out. So now that that's behind me, I feel like I can finally breathe and I can finally really anticipate and get hyped for Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, I got one more mini trip before that. We're going to Philadelphia with my in-laws. So, but that's just a couple of days, almost like an extended weekend trip. But I'm still already hardcore Halloween Horror Nights planning. But I think we're gonna stop at that Eastern State Penitentiary.
Oh, cool.
Which I don't think it's the I know they have the haunt there every year. I don't think the haunt is going to be there, but just to go through it is going to be kind of cool anyway. So I think that's on our list.
Cool.
We bought one of those. Yeah, we bought one of those I guess city passes where it includes it's $100 and we got a discount off of that, and it includes there's 30 something options, and if we added it up, we figured if we just did 4 of the things we wanted to do, you're already paid for it itself.
Nice.
So yeah, so we're gonna probably hit a lot of sets. Definitely gonna hit that. And there was one thing Julie saw was like some kind of ghost tour or something of Philadelphia. So I don't know if we'll get that in because I don't know if my in-laws will necessarily be into that too much. But
yeah,
but
those are
definitely
always fun. Yeah,
but maybe I could sneak out to look at that. But
all right, guys. Well, we'll see you back here next week. Take it easy. Don't get trapped and tortured by Jigsaw.
Yes, try not to do that. We want you back, listeners.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you do escape rooms. So just in case that happens, you'll be prepared.
Yeah. That's one of the things. Tim and I have only done one escape room together, but I think if we ever go to Vegas, we need to do that Saw escape room.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, by the way, I did bring, I was trying to find a gift for Olivia to bring back from GenCon. So I picked up one of the escape room games. They actually have board games. There's one series called Exit.
Really?
And it's basically an escape room in a box. Yeah, so it's a tiny box. They're very inexpensive. You can get them for like, $12, $13.
Oh, cool.
And there's a ton of different ones in the series that have varying difficulties. They are one-time use like a real escape room, as you can imagine. Once you know the answers, but
right.
But
well, that's probably why they're so cheap.
Yeah, I mean, but for an evening's entertainment, I mean, it's much cheaper than a real escape room.
Yes.
So I think Olivia and I are going to try that out this weekend. I'll give you guys a review and let you know.
Oh, yeah. So. That would be cool. Yeah, so I'm like 2 for 2 on escape rooms too. So I am undefeated in escape room thing. And
Nice.
They're actually, by the way, there's also some apps, iPad apps that have their escape room things where you kind of do that, where you have to like look. You basically point the things in the room, and you like look, and you get clues, and you have to figure out a way to get out of the room to the next level. I think each pack gets you like 10 floors.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah.
it's kind of cool. It's almost like a collection of the mini games from old video games, like Resident Evil or something. Like, you'll like click on something and you'll open up a drawer and you see a piece of paper, and then you gotta then you find a pen later, and and like, so it's like and you can combine items that you find to help solve other clues. So they usually it takes you a few minutes per each level. Maybe sometimes 20 on some of them are really tricky, but so it's pretty cool. So there's also that as another thing to kind of get your fill of escape rooms. But
nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I guess you better brush up because we got 4 more Jigsaw rooms coming up.
Yes. And enjoy your Jigsaw jazz.
Later.
See ya.